The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
So welcome back to Generations Radio. Happy holidays to everybody, depending on when you listen to this radio show, because we archive all these shows. And thank you for going to our website, generations808.com, for tuning in over there. Because I know a lot of you have been going to listen to our radio shows as old as over a year and a half ago. And also our TV shows that are archived there. So thank you very much. So happy holidays. And we kind of got an early Christmas present for those of you that have been paying attention and watching the TV news, the radio shows, and the newspaper here, the advertiser, that we got an early Christmas present. And I'm not an expert on this particular program. It's called the Kupuna Caregivers Act or program. And it was signed into law very recently. And they're executing it. It's amazingly quick. That's unheard of as well, if you heard Mike Buck and me talking about it the other morning. But I wanted to bring this out to everybody and get it out as soon as possible. And so I wanted to bring, we have three different points of views and people that are in the know about the Caregivers, Kupuna Caregivers program. First of all, we have Pedro Haro from Caring Across Generations. Then we have Kathy Wyatt from Hale'aole, but also the president of the State of Hawaii's Adult Day Center Association. And then Kathy Jaycox from FACE. Right. And Kathy, if I always forget FACE, Faith Action for Community Equity. Great. Okay. Well, first of all, before we start every show, we want to give our listeners a good idea of who we're talking to. This is not fake news, and we have legitimate people here. But I want to start off with Pedro Haro, who I met a few years ago, has been coming to Hawaii and works for it's a national organization, Pedro?
Yeah, it's a national organization. We work nationally with different states. I live here in Hawaii. I grew up here in Hawaii. But the organization works on different types of caring. And so both at the beginning of life, caring for children, and also at the other end of the spectrum with elderly. And what we're really interested in is creating sustainable communities that pay livable wages for people who work in caring professions, and in creating an infrastructure for care for what we call the sandwich generation.
Right. And it's a national organization, so now are they based in D.C. or Chicago?
They have offices in D.C. We have offices in D.C. and in New York, but we have people working all over the country. So I was brought on because I live in Hawaii. So the idea is that there's, several of us on different places where we think that the action is happening.
Well, great. Fantastic. And Pedro is always out there, always at the big meetings around town, so thank you very much. Kathy Wyatt from Hale'aole has her own Adult Day Center, but also is the president of the State of Hawaii's Adult Day Association. Kathy, and so give us a little bit of your background.
I've been in Hawaii for 7 years, but I've been in long-term care and working with families for about 24 years. So I'm well-versed on what they go through taking care of their folks.
And you're originally from Georgia, is that
Georgia,
correct?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Atlanta Falcons is a great team. I love
Georgia Bulldogs, go!
Yeah, that's right. And Kathy Jaycox from Faith Action for Community Equity.
Well done.
And explain your background and what the history and what FACE is doing today.
Okay. Well, FACE is a 21-year-old organization. It's an organization of organizations, so individuals don't belong to FACE, but churches, temples. It's an interfaith group. So we have Christian members, Jewish members, Buddhist members at this time, and with a focus on social justice. And so every year, the member units, we call each organization that belongs a unit, every year the member units discuss what do they think are the biggest social issues that FACE should try to address. And the amazing thing is that for all 21 of our years, long-term health care has been one of the top two issues.
Wow.
So FACE has been really excited about the fact that this year we finally have a law passed that addresses long-term caregivers.
Yeah, and it's amazing. 21 years. I mean, I've been involved in aging for 15 years, and it's always been a top of it. And it's interesting, recently the magazine, we just celebrated 8 years, and we started our Generations TV show here on Oceanic Cable. And we started this AM 690 radio show about 2 years ago. And we just took a deep dive recently, about a week and a half ago, to find out what's really people are looking for. What are they going to our website and what are they reading on our social media page as well. And it was interesting that caregiving was the number one topic by far. I mean, decluttering is big, financing long-term care is big, but caregiving was big. And every show that we did regarding personal stories about caregivers and also people looking for resources on our website for caregiving was number 2. We are going to be focusing a lot more in 2018, by the way. But so, Pedro, do you want to talk about the new caregivers, Kupuna Caregivers program in the state of Hawaii? It was interesting. I just got my ARP magazine yesterday. Or 2 days ago, and if you don't belong to ARP, you should. You cannot become a full member until you're 50, but I started receiving a magazine at 44 or 45. And that's when I got involved in aging. You just can't get the 10 to 15% discounts until you're 50. Don't laugh, because you know what?
Good discounts.
I'll tell you, when I went to Las Vegas and I went to the shopping mall over there, you get a card, you get 10% off, if not more. The ARP has a special book they give you at the outlet mall. I was like, wow, I was kind of surprised. So there is benefits. I love the great stories. But yesterday I received a magazine and it talked about this Kupuna Caregivers Bill. So Pedro, why don't you give us a little background on kind of the history of where it came from and where we're at today?
Sure. Well, FACE has really led the way for the first 21 years to be able to bring this issue to the forefront. But the idea of where it has shapen up in the last year and a half, 2 years, was that we didn't have the resources to provide for every caregiver out there. The ARP estimates that there's about $2 billion worth of caregiver hours that are provided in Hawaii alone. I mean, that's the government cannot supplant that. And what we found out from our research in Caring Across Generations is that local families didn't want to be taken away from their responsibilities. They just wanted a little help. They said, I can take care of mom and dad, I can take care of grandpa, I can take care of the in-laws, but I need a little help, especially when I'm working. When I'm out working, if I can't concentrate on my job or I have to take off work to take mom to her appointments, that's very much of a needed assistance that we have. So this bill is really aimed to be able to doing 2 things. Number 1 is helping an individual family who's struggling with caregiving and also working outside the home. So it's particularly aimed for people who are working 30 hours or more outside the home and providing care to an elderly, to a kupuna, at home. But it also helps businesses. People who are caregivers are more likely to become, to have health, their own health deteriorate, are more likely to call out sick, are more likely to have to leave early from work, are more likely to leave the workforce early. Particularly for women, they're less likely to take promotions when they have caregiving duties at home. So the idea is that if we're able to help them a little bit, then we can continue to grow the workforce. People don't have to dip into their own sick leave. We can reduce hospitalization rates by doing a little bit of prevention. So what the program actually does is for people who are working 30 hours or more or in providing care for an elderly person at home, it provides up to $70 a day in services. And that's very important because some people think that it's $70 in their pocket, right? It's not $70 in your pocket. It's $70 a day in services. So the bill as it was written is it includes things like adult day health, transportation services. It includes things like meal prep or chore services at home. And the way that you qualify for it is that the elderly person has to have need assistance in 2 what we call ADLs, 2 activities of daily living. You call this number, you enroll, and then they come and do an assessment and figure out what is it that your family needs the most. And that's in a nutshell what it is. It's not going to provide 24-hour around-the-clock care. It's not supposed to supplant a caregiver, but what it is what we call respite care. That caregiver has the opportunity to be able to take a break or be able to get professional help. I have this one friend who I always recall. He took care of his mom for 15 years. She had lupus from the time that he was fairly young, and he took care of her for 15 years. And he would say that the hardest thing was bathing his mom. He said it was just,
Sure.
it was a very, awkward relationship that they had to develop. And he said, if I could have had just 1 hour a day or every few days to somebody to come and help bathe my mom, he said it would have made our life so much different, and it would have made our experience so much better. So those are the kind of assistance that we're talking about this program is able to provide.
So can we back a little bit in terms of the bill itself? Now, I had mentioned to Mike Buck on his show that the amount, so the program basically was receives $600,000 to set up this program, and it came about really quickly. Can you explain that portion of how the dollars, and because if people listen to this show and read the paper last week, it talked about it only going to serve about 35 or 50 people, depending on how that money is spent, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's very good to clarify. So the initial request in the bill was for $6.6 million. We got the 0.6 is what I usually mention. Right. So it is what we're looking at it, and what we know that legislators are looking at it is saying this is the first step in a much longer process. So the Executive Office on Aging that was tasked with creating and launching this program has moved on it at record pace.
Record pace.
Yes. I mean, the way that they have been putting all of these things together to be able to launch the program, and I think it's because there's such huge need for it, and there's been so much media attention. The New York Times just did a piece on our program here in Hawaii, promoting and talking about this being a model that the rest of the nation can follow.
It is the first in the country.
It is the first in the country to look at this caregiver model and providing assistance for caregivers rather than only focusing on the on the other side of it. The governor's office was very supportive, but also we had really strong legislators who really wanted to be able to see the program come through. Now, let's be honest, with rail and other things that are sort of sucking up the room in the air, it's hard to go up. All of these things need resources.
Absolutely.
So legislators definitely took a first stab at creating something. So we've had some really strong champions. Sylvia Luke on the House side, Joe Takuda on the Senate side, that were the money chairs, really went up to bat to be able to find this money. We had Senator Josh Green. We had Ross Baker, who wrote the bill. We had Greg Takayama, who introduced the bill on the House side. Dee Morikawa, who heard the bill quickly. I mean, we had not one single no vote in the entire in either houses. We had not one single vote, not in committees, not in full houses. There was not one single piece of testimony against it either. So everybody's behind it. What we just have to do is find the money to be able to help more families.
Yeah, so we'll see when we ask for $6 million next year, the other six of the bill, to see how they stand. Because I think $600,000 is great. It's a great start. It's the first in the country. However, it's going to take a lot more, as we know. It's interesting how this of course, with FACE, a lot of different organizations, how it's really become hopefully more forefront with the governor and the rest of the politicians, because for those of you guys that listen to our show, read the magazine a few times, the first Friday of every month, we try to get together at the Capitol, room 325, just wanted to let you know, because it's on the TV show, and we meet for about an hour, half to 2 hours, talking about bills and things that are in need for the families, and it's really important. So Kathy, for FACE, and what was some of the hardest things that we were doing? Is it really just getting the politicians to understand what's going on?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking about that when Pedro was talking, that I think that's one of the reasons why so many politicians were in support of this, is because what FACE tried to do through its membership is to get people to call your representative, call your senator, call their office, tell them the stories of the caregiving that you're having to deal with, and help them understand why it's important for them to vote this way. And I think I have to really give a hats off to Caring Across Generations, because, we talked about the fact that FACE has been trying to address this for 21 years. But it really does, FACE, our strength is we have people resources. We don't have a lot of cash resources, but it takes money to just have advertising and things that put this issue out in front of people. And that's where Pedro and Caring Across Generations was a real help this time for us, I think, getting attention paid to the bill and just getting getting the chance for more of those stories to be told publicly, and I think that really helped.
When I heard about the story break, was about a week and a half ago. I heard from somebody who said they got over 200 calls by the end of the last week. I'm not sure if Kathy, you mentioned it, but over 200 calls, and the papers talked about how only 35 to maybe 50 people are when have if they take a year's time of money, because it lasts for a year. Is that correct, or 6 months? How's that being paid
Right
out?
now, the way that the bill is written is that it will be from January to June, and so it'll be the next fiscal budget that we'll need to pick up. So a new bill or a new appropriation by the governor's office to be able to pick up after June.
Oh, it's only till June. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is why it's really important for families who are in this situation to follow through and call their ADRC, because that's the only way that they will have a record of the need, some accurate data about the need. And then that data in turn is what we can take to the legislature and say, look, we've here are all the calls that they're getting, and they only had $600,000. We've got to come up with more money.
Well, I think from the outside looking at it, obviously that's not enough money, but from inside it is a start.
Exactly.
And to go forward and see how successful the program is. And so I know, Kathy, you've met with the Executive Office on Aging. I'm not too sure if any of you others, but so what is the discussion now? And if somebody, can people apply now as we speak?
People can call and get on the list of people that are interested in being covered by this program. But the criteria for qualifying for the program is still kind of up in the air. It changes. It's changed a couple of times since I had that meeting. So you just
and that was only last week.
Yeah. So they just call and put your name on the list, and then when they start assessing families, the people that meet the most current criteria will be the ones that get the initial funds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. And is it qualify income-wise or asset-wise, or
income is going to have a part of it, but that's not the only thing. That's at first we thought was going to be first come first serve, but now there are the criteria is building, and part of it's going to be financial.
And that's going through the ADRC?
Yeah, through the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, we'll be administering the services, and then they subcontract with organizations and businesses such as Kathy's adult day health business that will provide the actual services.
Oh, I see. And that phone number is a 643. Who's got the number here?
643-2372.
So if you listen on the weekend, Monday morning, get up early, call, put your name on the list. And so I'm not too sure how they're going to go through that list and how long it's going to take. But my understanding is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Oahu is different than other neighbor islands. And so, Kathy, I know you've been talking about it. And what I understand is that $70 has to be paid to an adult day center.
Correct.
And that's all? No caregiving or other resources or respite
On
care?
Oahu, no. It's been specified just for adult daycare.
And to also clarify that the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, the ADRCs as we call them, do have other pots of money to help families. So this one number, in the 643-2372, if you let them know what are the services that you're looking for, maybe the Kupuna Caregivers isn't the right program for you, but they would be able to place you within a program that is fits the need that you have for your family.
It's kind of a catch-all phone number. I actually saw some commercials on elder abuse. I believe that, and they had talked about if you have any situations or if you think there's something going on, call that same number.
That's
so
right.
it is a great number to be. So what's going on? So if somebody qualified, they would have to find an adult day center, or does the Office on Aging find an adult day center?
The Office on Aging has a list of the of the daycare centers that want to be participants, that want to be what's the term I'm looking for? They want to be a vendor.
The providers.
A provider. Okay.
I see.
Provider. But not all of the adult day centers are going to be agree to be providers.
Oh, really? Oh, why is that?
Well, the way that my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the program is set up where they're charging by the hour, and none of the adult daycare centers that belong to the organization charge by the hour; they charge by the day.
I don't know if any organization charges by the hour in the state of Hawaii. I've been to several.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I went down to talk to them was because I'm by the day charge, and another colleague was with me. We sat down and tried to agree on what the hourly rate is going to look like, so that the people that want to be providers and provide a community service, which is what it is, don't lose money. We still want to be providers and help the community, but we can't afford to lose money.
And who decided, by the way, on it has to be paid out by the hour?
You know that I know that in the next bill that will be introduced, they're trying to figure out some of that language. As some of these bills sort of come across, then they have to get opinions by the Attorney General as to saying, well, the bill was written in this way. What do we have flexibility on and what don't we? I think this is one of those bills where we found out, writing $70 a day sort of was a little bit more restrictive than we thought it would be. So the next version of the bill will be a little bit more, we're hoping will fix some of the, sort of technical flaws that there might be in implementing a program like this, so that there is more flexibility in working with the providers. And I think the other part that we always think about is saying this is the first step, and we always have to start somewhere, to be able to understand where is it that we need to get to, what makes sense for families, first and foremost, but also what creates a sustainable and growing business sector within the caregiving community. Because we all need that. We all need to have a sustainable growing sector within the caregiving community, and they need to be earning livable wages. So that's all part of the mix as well.
I don't know if anybody was around and still very involved in aging and in caregiving. I believe it was about I'm guessing about 7 or 8 years ago. These at the time, I guess it was the advertiser, because they had two papers back then. The advertiser did. The first 2 Sundays of December, like I said, it was like 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember off the top of my head. They did a big story. It was front page news on the first 2 Sundays of December, and it was called "The Graying of Hawaii." And he talked about it was about 5 or 6 pages. It was a pretty long thing. I think I was quoted a little bit, and a few other of the leadership here was quoted about the issue of caregiving, about how we're getting older. And this is 7 or 8 years ago. Right. And I don't know if anybody saw the Graying of Hawaii document by Audrey and I can't remember the other Mark, but that was a great documentary. If you're listening, if you get a chance, just Google Graying of Hawaii, and there's a website that has it's broken into 2 segments, and I think it's 45 minutes each, but it documents 2 years of work they did, and it was really, really well done. And thanks to Mark and Audrey, and they followed around. They used to go to Kupuna Caregivers back in those days, and I think I was in the background of one of the shots there. But they interviewed a lot of people in our community, and if you watch it today in 2017, it's amazing. Nothing has changed since 2010, I think it was, or 9. I think they started documenting it about 2000. I think it came out 2010. Now I think about it, the documentary. And we haven't gone anywhere. Wow. We really have not. Yeah. And not to say it's anybody's fault, is that we need to take it a priority and move it forward, and move it,
Well, and I think, we all know the whole country, baby boomers, have always been the bulge in the population. So now the baby boomers are Kupuna. And so the whole country is seeing that we have more older people. But I think Hawaii especially, we know, we've got the data to show, there are more, the percentage of seniors who make up the population of Hawaii is higher than the percentage of a lot of other states. People live longer in Hawaii. We have a longer life expectancy. And we also know that we have families who really value the idea of, yes, I have a responsibility to take care of my elderly family members. I don't want to ship them off to care somewhere else. I want to be able to do that. But it's a challenge, as we've been talking about. It's a challenge for the caregiver, especially. I was a caregiver, and luckily for me, I was at a point where the fact that I had to cut back from full-time work to half-time work, I was close enough to retirement that it, didn't have a huge impact on my life. But for somebody who's a woman who's maybe only in her 40s or even 50s who faces that has a significant impact on her life and her career, and that's what this bill is trying to address.
Yeah. Well, everybody involved with Generations Magazine actually has first-hand experience with caregiving, actually except for me. The reason why I brought up that article about the advertiser is that it started because two of the editors were dealing with caring for their parent. So we're going to take a short break. We're talking about the new Kupuna Caregiver Bill. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know residential care homes offer a family-oriented atmosphere? At Caregivers Heart Hawaii, our kupuna become part of the family. The smaller environment allows for more personal attention. For example, there's no waiting to go to the bathroom compared to other long-term care options. The patient-to-caregiver ratio is smaller and help is faster. Over time, residential care homes are less expensive compared to other long-term care options. Our caregivers are experienced and enjoy what they do, and all homes are ADA approved. Don't feel stressed and overwhelmed or try to do this alone. Aloha, I am Ku'unani Demante with Caregivers Heart Hawaii. Let us help you with all your care home placement needs. Caregivers Heart Hawaii has knowledge and experience. For a free consultation and to learn more about us, go to caregivershearthawaii.com, where treating kupuna like family is our business.
When you feel like Vegas, there's just one place to stay. Grab a drink at the Holo Holo Bar, there's just one place to play. We got a fresh, hot look, a new sports book. We got those local meals, just like Auntie cooks. Aloha spoken here.
Check out the Cow's new renovated look and see why the Cow is Hawaii's favorite place in Vegas to stay and play.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
If you're new to Medicare, we can help you work your way through all the questions, the details, and the headaches. Generations TV has gathered experts in the field to help you find the answers. This is Navigating Medicare.
A very important period is coming up, what we call AEP, Annual Election Period, from October 15 to December 7.
The annual election period is when you can change from one plan to another. The plans change. The benefits, coverage, and premiums may be different. So know what you should have. What are your current health needs, your budget, and priorities? You need to make sure the medications you are currently taking are covered and that your doctor is in the network you're looking at.
Like we mentioned before, all plans are different. There's no one plan that's good for everybody. Everybody got different wants and needs. Call us and we can help you.
Helping you work your way through the confusion. Navigating Medicare. Brought to you today by Financial Benefits Insurance, serving the entire state of Hawaii from the corner of Pi'ikoi and Kapiolani in Honolulu.
Oahu's newest senior living community, Ilima at Lehano, is now open in the heart of Kapolei. Within this beautiful new community, offering independent living, assisted living, and memory care, you will experience a feeling of ohana that provides a sense of community and peace of mind for our kupuna. A range of spacious apartment styles are available, from large studios to spacious 1 and 2 bedroom plans, most with a large private lanai. Be one of the first to call Ilima your home. Visit ilimaatLehano.com or call 674-8022.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit at VoidVacationsHawaii.com.
Hi, I'm Margaret Wong with the Copeland Insurance Group. Let us be your Medicare resource throughout the year. We have agents throughout the islands to be of assistance to you. So if you have Medicare questions, we have the answers. Call us at 808-591-4877. Again, 808-591-4877. Thank you. We look forward to hearing from you.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690, The Answer.
5914777. Shoot-a-wah, who's got the best deals in Vegas around? Who's got the best shoot-a-wah? Call 5914777 today. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Good luck, we go play. 5914777 today. Good luck. We go play.
Complete 4 and 5 night packages from $6.99. Vacations Hawaii, your favorite connection to Vegas.
Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
So welcome back to Generations Radio. I was talking to our guest here that I love the music. It's by Johnny Thompson out of San Francisco. Unfortunately, he has actually a home in Napa where the fires were, but luckily he didn't get burned. And we know a few other people over there, but I just mentioned it because San Francisco has a lot of aging people over there. I mean, I know a couple people work in the Alzheimer's Association over there, and I don't know. You guys let me know. You can email me or call me, but I just found personally that a lot of my clients that have got Alzheimer's dementia were actually very active and more professionals, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, realtors. So no publishers though, so I don't have to worry about that. But, we're talking here about the new Kupuna Caregivers Act or bill, if you want to, whatever you want to call it. But it just started. We gave out the number. It's 643.
2372.
2372. It's a catch-all number. Call them specifically that you want to get your name on the list for the Kupuna Caregivers program. They're going to take some information from you, and they'll get back to you because they're not really set right today or next week to administer it and get it going, but it will be very, very shortly. But I did want to talk about, Kathy, on Oahu specifically, that $70 a day is going to go to an adult day center. Not all adult day centers, but hopefully we'll have a list very shortly. And so give our audience an idea, because people have an idea what adult day centers are. And I know a few of them are a little bit different than others, or provide more or less services. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, there's adult day health and adult day care. And adult day health requires nurses on board, and there are very few on the island. Most of us are adult day care. And
what's the difference? Adult daycare are just certified nurses' aides, or do they have to be CNAs?
They don't have to be CNAs.
Oh.
I'm blessed with an LPN and a CNA on my staff, and I'm an RN. But for adult daycare, its activities is the focal point. Mm-hmm. Is keeping them busy and keeping their minds busy and exercising and that sort of thing, so that they keep their current status and hopefully not decline.
More social contact.
Yeah.
You guys go on trips at all?
We go on outings. We went to City Hall to see the giant Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus in the front yard. Got great pictures for that. I'll have to send those to you. Yes.
Wow, you should.
We go all over the island to different venues. So
we're always looking for pictures, events, stories, caregiving stories, programs, nonprofits. We're just trying to be, I wouldn't say the voice of all this aging issues, but we definitely want to get all this information out to you. So if you're listening, you got some stories, programs, comments, send it over to us. You can email me at percy@generations808.com. But, Pedro, what I wanted to kind of give, can you give me a good idea of what caring across generations is seized down the road? Because really, we like to talk about issues, but we also like to move forward and talk about what's happening, what can we do. What do you folks do?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that we're looking at across the country, and including here in Hawaii, is how do you create livable wages for a lot of these caring professions. Now, if we take a look at caring professions, now we're talking about people who are working in adult daycare centers, and also people who are working in children's care centers.
Sure.
A lot of them themselves have to take care of small children and elderly, and sometimes they can't make a livable wage off of it, and they're taking care of our most precious resources in our home. The work that Kathy does, that Kathy Wyatt does, is immeasurable. She takes care of people's parents and grandparents, and those people have the biggest heart and have some of the best patients, most trained, most kind individuals. And the same is true for people to take care of young children as well. We don't like to equate the two, but the idea is that the caring profession is a caring profession, right? And then also people who take care of our homes, sometimes maids, sometimes people who come into our homes and take care of our most vulnerable, and during our most vulnerable times, a lot of times they're not making livable wages. And
especially in Hawaii.
And they're trying to take care of their own families as well. We're looking at Caring Cross Generations as how do you revolutionize that? How do you make sure that these people who are in these professions and such wonderful human beings are also taken care of themselves? And for the majority of them, it's women. It's women who take these jobs.
Absolutely.
And it's also women who are caregivers and at the home, family caregivers. So it's multifaceted. It's a women's rights issue. It's a family issue. It's a social justice issue. But it's also just the right thing for us to do. And particularly in Hawaii, where we're used to taking care of our own, it feels right. The work that Caring Across Generations does feels right.
Well, put something together and send it over to us. We love to do a story. That's one of the areas I think we're going to focus more on in women, especially because more women read the magazine anyway. But they're also live longer. They're most of the caregivers, right? As you guys all know, and it is so true that the pay scale is much lower. It's interesting, you see all these things about celebrities and people with they're losing their jobs for whatever reason, and the pay scale for women and men. And I saw a local TV segment just the other day, maybe it was yesterday, and it was a male and a female newscaster, and talking about how the pay scale, we wanted the pay scale to be the same for men and women. So I was curious. I would like to call up that station and say, is that female getting paid the same as that male newscaster? I'm serious. So I've been involved with KHON and KITV recently, but I'd be kind of curious to know, because if they're going to talk about it, I want them to make sure that they do it. It was just interesting seeing these newscasters talk about it. And I wonder if the girl go, yeah, but he's getting paid more than me. No, I'm serious. I mean, I want to walk the talk, and I think everybody should. But it's interesting. But anyway, Kathy, so what is FACE and Faith, Action, and Community Equity? And what are you folks getting involved in now? And what do you see for 2018?
So, obviously, long-term care will remain one of our top issues. The other one that has consistently been in the top for most of our 21 years has related to lack of affordable housing. We're not so much homeless, especially not the chronically homeless, because that's just such a complex subset in itself. But we're really concerned about the fact that, we have families where the parents are working, but they're homeless because there's just a lack of rental housing available on the island, that's just a terrible situation for families to be in. And again, when you look at the long range picture, we see for people whose children have grown up here in Hawaii, so many of the times they're seeing their adult children leave Hawaii because they just can't afford to stay, or mom and dad decide, well, we'll expand, we'll add on to the house so that our adult children can live at home, and sometimes that leads to other social issues for the family. So we know that's going to be another one that we're keeping an eye on.
Well, affordable rentals, let alone rentals, because the rental market is, for a condo, one bedroom, one bath, like $1,200 or $1,400, something like that. But but affordable rentals is a huge problem.
And just defining the term affordable. I know that developers are building a lot of these high-rise condominiums. Want to say that affordable is up to 150% of the area median income, and FACE is saying, well, what about people who are only making 80% of the median income. So yeah, that's an issue too. And as Pedro said earlier, we know that again, dealing with the legislature, there are multiple issues that are going to be clamoring for their attention, and housing and healthcare and rail, they're all there. I think there's certainly a connection between rail and housing because my understanding at least is that if the government owns the land where the rail is, then there's the opportunity for affordable housing to be built on that land because the government already owns the land. And so that makes it easier for developers to build something that's affordable. But
yeah, we'll see. I think they need more senior housing.
Yeah.
The ones that the city and county does, or they have a developer. I noticed some on the neighbor islands that they're doing more of that, and it's they've done very, very well. Unfortunately, our land on Oahu is much more expensive than the neighbor islands, but we definitely need to see that. I know Catholic Charities manages the one in Mililani Mako that just came up and he built, and I believe that's already taken up already. It was like 30 days, but it really needs something like that. But Kathy, how's the adult day centers? Are there any more new ones coming up? Anything going up new for us to know?
Well, we have about 27 members in our organization, but I know there are some smaller.
That's statewide.
Statewide, yeah. So I know there are more on the island that have not joined the organization. So I'm not really sure the growing numbers. I apologize, I don't have that answer.
But you guys meet every month?
Every other month.
Every other month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And there are people from other off island that come over for the meetings as well. So.
Okay. Well, I did want to talk about mention that if when you listen to this show and you hear about resources, and if you want to be active or you're upset or whatever it is, you really should pay attention and come out and be an advocate.
That's right.
Kupuna Caucus meets the first Friday every month. Once you come, make sure you're on the email list. They'll give you a blast of different news topics going on, let alone the meetings, the agenda for the meeting. But it meets the first Friday of every month, 1:30 to about 3:30. You can park downstairs in the chambers on the bottom floor or park on the street. It's in room 325 normally, and it's called Kupuna Caucus. And we get about 40, 50 people there every time. But I want to really fill it up. I want to see 100, 150 people there. Seriously. We were at a meeting last month, right? And there was a big meeting next door and TV cameras and everything. Where was our TV cameras on our side? And talk about the opioid epidemic, and I get it, but we really need to get more advocates out there. We need more caregivers. We need more seniors come out there and complain, because I know some homelessness is a big issue, but we really need to get this out there more so. So anyway, so what do you think the future of caregiving in Hawaii? Let me ask that simple, basic question. We'll start off with you, Pedro.
Well, great.
Not ready for that one.
I think that we're expanding on. We're using the resources that are for Kupuna caregivers in trying to figure out a different caregiving model for the nation, not just even for Hawaii. Is to be able to figure out to saying, rather than working on sick care, let us work on prevention. Let us work on making sure that grandma doesn't fall, rather than providing hundreds of thousands of dollars of care for the hip replacement. Let's making sure that she feels safe, that the person who is her primary caregiver has the opportunity to earn a living without having to sacrifice her own sanity, and that we can do this by providing a little bit of assistance into a family. I think that's the future of caregiving. I don't think that the future of caregiving is having the government completely pay or supplant the services. I think that we're trying to figure out a model where we can work together. So the for-profit companies that are already providing care assistance, the government, and the families that are providing that unpaid family assistance, how can we make sure that we work together? And I think the Kupuna Caregivers is a model that we can use into the future, and that other states are already taking a look at it. Maine is definitely taking a look at it. They're looking on the West Coast as well, and sort of the eyes of the nation are upon us to be able to figure out, does Hawaii have an answer here? Has Hawaii figured out a model that might be able to work, that doesn't cost an awful lot and yields a lot of dividends?
Yeah, I think we've always talked about trying to be proactive, and I think people have to really, really wake up and realize, I do workshops every month, and I always tell them, don't expect the government to do anything for you. Yeah. If they do, great, but don't expect them, because people rely on it so much. And I think we have one of the best Medicaid, MedQuest programs in the country. However, I don't know about Medicaid for long-term care, but I mean, people are planning for that. Like that's their only option. It's not the only option, but I really need to understand. We have a great program, but I think going forward, don't rely on that. They really have to take care of themselves. But Kathy, your organization is a nonprofit, right?
Yes, it is.
Hale'aole up in
Hawaii.
Aiea, I always go Aiea, Waimalu area.
Well, Pearl City, Aiea is
right
on that street. I would like to say though that the caregivers, the money from the Kupuna Caregiver program is going to alleviate so much stress on the caregivers. Eventually, the stress comes out and affects the whole family.
Absolutely.
So having some kind of respite, as financially to begin with, is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think I've always promoted adult day centers because if you're still working, you can drop them off and pick them up in the afternoon. And I've been on the board of a couple of different nonprofits, and it's really, really wonderful. And Pedro, you're right. You know, people that care for our children, but also for our kupuna, have the biggest hearts, and they care so much. And it's really important that we do compensate them. You know, even for the certified nurses, if not LPNs and RNs. Yeah.
I'd also like to reiterate what Pedro said about the prevention program, prevention of injuries and whatnot. The statistics that are out there that show the growth of the elderly and the upcoming need for residential aid, admitting them to assisted living facilities or skilled nursing facilities, is astronomical. And adult daycare, and I'm going to plug adult daycare here. It helps do the prevention. I mean, they keep them active, they keep their minds going, they keep their bodies active through exercise, and it helps prevent falls because we're monitoring them all day long. It helps prevent stagnation in their whole physical outlook on the world because they're keeping busy and they're socializing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So prevention is a big part of our program.
So you guys all are familiar with Hawaii Pacific Gerontological Society, HPGS. If you go to our website, hpgs.org, Kathy, I know you're on the board, and you're actually president-elect for 2019, I believe. I'm finishing up my second year of the presidency, and we'll have Calvin Hara from Manoa College's Kamiki take over the presidency next year. But so 2018 is very important because we have our biennial conference next year. And I want to bring it up because it's a huge conference where the public is invited, even though it's mostly for professionals. But I wanted to talk to you, Kathy, because 3 or 4 years ago, FACE brought in Aijen Po to speak at the University of Hawaii, talking about, is she part of Caring
She's
Across
the executive director for Caring Across Generations.
Yeah.
So then I'll tell you on air. I want to try and get it here to Hawaii, if we can.
It's a possibility. It certainly is. She loves Hawaii. She comes often. She's very interested in the work that we're doing. She has worked directly with FACE, worked directly with, and I mean, we're talking about a MacArthur genius. She was voted Time Magazine's one of the most influential people, and she loves walking around and meeting with people and helping figure out how do you organize for the betterment. And she has one of the biggest hearts and one of the most logical ways of thinking, which is, I guess, what makes somebody a genius.
Great story. I actually, when that event that FACE put on, it was 3 or 4 years ago at the University of Hawaii. I actually spoke to her briefly after the meeting, and it's just amazing. And she's actually pretty young.
Yeah,
if you think about it, when she was in her 30s or maybe 40s. But I mean, for somebody had that foresight, and I think she was a caregiver herself, right?
Yeah, she talks about being a caregiver for her grandmother, and one of the things that I've learned from her most of all, because we use the term the silver tsunami, right? And she has talked to us as to saying, tsunami has such a negative connotation. People getting older is not a punishment. It's not a negative thing. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for businesses who want to grow. It's an opportunity for jobs, and it's an opportunity for us to take care of the generation that has taken care of us. So I love that idea of saying, let's stop using the term the silver tsunami because of this negative connotation. We can certainly ride a wave. We
should have her create a theme.
Yeah.
And when she comes to Hawaii in September, we'll bring it out.
Great.
Yeah. But FACE was very involved in it, and that's when I first heard about FACE.
Yeah, FACE brought her, and then I don't know if it was if there was a connection between that, but then this past year, the University of Hawaii brought her she was a faculty for a workshop or something.
Daniel Inouye Foundation.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she's an amazing woman, and she really sees the issue, and she sees it from all the angles, as Pedro was talking about earlier. And I think it would be great if HPGS could bring her.
Okay, so we'll get her here,
Let's
and
make it happen.
I'll let you know the future. We'll be locking in the dates very soon. But FACE is working on, when you talk about Faith Action for Community Equity, what other parts of FACE are you folks are working on besides, I know, the long-term care issue?
Well, okay, so the long-term care, the affordable housing, one of the other ones that the past couple years has been big for us, has related to immigration issues and people. We had a couple issues this past year of single moms getting letters telling them to show up with their suitcases packed because they were going to get sent
in
back.
Hawaii. Really?
Here in Hawaii, yeah.
Wow.
And so on a couple of occasions, a couple dozen of our members were out picketing in support of. It's just, the crime that they committed supposedly is just that they overstayed a visitor visa. And in each case, it was because the woman had fled an abusive situation in her native country. She didn't want to go back to that. In each case, they were mothers of minor children. And so they were being told, well, you have to go back home. You leave your minor children here or take them with you back to the abusive situation that you were trying to escape in the first place. And that's just wrong.
Well, we were yeah, absolutely. Don't get us started on that one. But we have a few more minutes. I did want to give you guys each an opportunity to just what you see in the future of caregiving and in your specific field, and any needs that you folks have or want to put out there for your organizations. Kathy, we want to start with you.
Okay. As has already been said, there is a shortage of caregivers, the professional caregivers, and I'll plug that I'm working on a grant to start a caregiver training program.
A training program.
Yeah. At an affordable rate for the people that need the training, because some of the programs are so expensive, it's unreasonable.
It's like over $2,000, right?
Yeah, some of them can be. Yeah. But I have scholarship money for anybody that wants to come to the class. But the caregiver, I hear such wonderful stories from my caregivers because they are so relieved. They were so stressed when they started coming to us, and they're so relieved now. They think it's almost embarrassing how much they think it's because they're so happy that mom's happy or dad's happy or uncle's happy, and they can feel safe at work and not worry about them sitting at home all day by themselves.
So, Kathy, how do the people get a hold of you? What's the best place? Just give you a call or email or your website. Where can they?
My website is hollyhaolihawaii.org. The office phone number is 798-8706. And my personal email that I get a lot of things on is kwyatt, WYATT, 01 at AOL.com.
Okay. And Kathy Jaycox from FACE, what's the best way if you want to get more volunteers, or how can they contact you folks over there?
So FACE does have a website, facehawaii.org. I think on the website we also have email contact with our executive director. Christy McPherson is our executive director. Or also any of the people who belong to any of the 29, I think, churches or temples that are part of FACE at your own organization, your church or your temple. There is a person who's representing your church or temple on the FACE steering committee, so you can always get to them too. But I would just like to say, Faith Action, that's part of our name. And so our big concern is to educate our membership about their responsibility to make their voices heard to their legislators on the issues that we identify as.
That's why you have the word action.
That's right. Exactly.
Pedro, we got a minute. Anything last words?
We're looking for advocates. We're always looking for people who have personal stories of caregiving. They would like to get involved, so they can go to care4kupuna.org. That's care4kupuna.org. All of our contact information is on there, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody who wants to volunteer.
Yeah, you guys are some of the leading advocates in the state of Hawaii, and I want to thank you very much. We'll have to have you back again. And well, actually, you can help me co-host the show because you guys probably know about caregiving than I do anyway. But thank you very much. Hey, have a great holidays for you and your families. Please
Happy
continue
holidays.
to fight.
You too.
And we'll talk to you soon. So everybody have a great holiday weekend. As always, aloha and live well.